What's this? In a bizarre twist, The Simpsons has been renewed through season 40.
Will there ever be an end to this terrifying plethora of poor performances?
In these podcasters' opinions, almost certainly no. And away we go.
Which is true, means death for us all. Up, yours, children. Why does his mind look like that?
Welcome to your new favourite podcast about your old favourite show. It's No Kids 3 Money, a Simpsons podcast through the lens of time. I am one half your host, Ned.
And I'm Matt. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you're watching or listening.
And email us at nokids3moneypodcast@gmail.com. Yes.
Yes.
And our third member,
Hello, Mr. Keegs.
Well, hello, sir.
Mr. Keegs.
Yes, children, I am Mr. Keegs.
I've got laryngitis once again.
Oh, yeah.
Seems to be a through line for this week.
Oh, a couple of throat rips in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah. That's right. That will be somewhere.
Yeah. Somewhere. All right, what have we got in store for the people this week?
We have the first episode of season 3. We have season 11, episode 13, and season 21, episode 15.
The real first episode.
Correct. So the real first episode is no longer on Disney Plus because of Disney owning it. And luckily enough, I collected the DVDs as a kid, so we got to watch it.
Which we mentioned last week was kind of hilarious. Like, it's one of those things. It's like, I don't know, it might be too early, might have cut it out, but it's like there was an entire court case kind of thing. And yes, he was like, you know, proven innocent in a like court of law or whatever, but everybody knows he fucking did it. Allegedly.
At loves rootin', Keegs loves cameras.
No,
everyone's
I said
scared
allegedly.
when Ned slanders.
Not me. It means it covers it. But
He's grooming me.
they had an image of...
Mr. Simpson, no!
They had an image of Hitler in last week's episode, as well as another one that we discussed in a later season.
Yeah, true.
After that. And it's like, you'd think if Disney were going to distance themselves from any kind of, you know...
The Cosby Show.
Well, that kind of thing. It's just, yeah, Disney themselves were going to distance themselves from anything like vaguely political, it would be anything related to Hitler because, as I spoke about a couple of weeks ago, Walt Disney was a widely recognized anti-Semite. So you think the people that were trying to like distance that from the legacy of Disney would probably remove those images.
No continuity in there. Yeah, strange. I still don't understand. Like, I get the...
I'm not saying people are getting outraged at the wrong things, but it's like just, you know... You can't pick and choose.
When it's like, I guess, subjective like this, where it's obviously probably happened, but never fully proven / I don't know. He died when, I guess, it could have been answered more.
I suppose, yeah.
Anyway.
And now we actually live in an age of like Hitler deniers.
On to Stark Raving Dad.
Feel free to
Season 3.
express yourselves. In these sessions, we want you to feel relaxed and uninhibited.
Okay, so I was working in an insurance company, right? Youngest VP in the history of the firm, okay? The job was my life. Then one Monday morning, I got up. I couldn't leave the house. I just couldn't.
Was the door locked?
No, I just couldn't face what was out there.
Was it raining?
No, Homer, Dave suffers from agoraphobia, a fear of open areas and crowds. Please, Dave, go on.
Okay. Anyway, that day I knew I just couldn't make that long drive to work.
Were you out of gas?
Season 3, Episode 1. Synopsis reads, Homer's sanity is called into question when he arrives at work wearing a pink shirt. After Bart takes Homer's mental health stability test for him, Homer is committed to a mental hospital where he meets a big hulking bald man who says his name is Michael Jackson. Meanwhile, Lisa is depressed over her upcoming 8th birthday, but is very happy in the end to receive a song that is written specially for her birthday. Guest star Michael Jackson. Speaking parts only. Pseudonym John J. Smith.
Yeah, as we mentioned, like we spoke about before the podcast, but I suppose it's important to bring up at the top of the show. I Googled the question of like, did Michael Jackson charge for the usage of his music, even though it was only like small snippets of it? So it turns out that he didn't sing in the episode. He used a...
There was another guy that sung
Yeah.
parts of the songs.
Not really sure. Well, obviously, due to that reason, because he did the entire thing for free. He didn't take any payment for his voice lines or anything like that. So he probably looked at it from the perspective of if they actually use my music, even if I don't want to, my lawyers are probably going to try and charge them for the usage of it, kind of thing.
Yeah. It's funny because Michael Jackson was said to be a big fan of the show. That's why he wanted to guest star but didn't want to be named. And there's a thing here. So Jackson was a fan of Bart and he wanted to give Bart a #1 single. He co-wrote the song Do the Bartman, which was released as a single around the same time the episode was produced. Jackson could not take credit for his work on the song due to contractual reasons. Jackson also wrote the song Happy Birthday Lisa, which was later included in the album Songs in the Key of Springfield. A version of the song was reportedly included on a bonus disc in the 2001 special edition of Jackson's 1991 album Dangerous, but the bonus disc was dropped. So it was actually going to be on one of his records.
Oh, okay.
It's a lot of real interesting work that he did around this time as well. He wrote all the music for Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
What the fuck?
Really?
Are you really the one who wrote the soundtrack to Sonic the Hedgehog 3? Yes. Really? Yes. Really? Yes. Thank you. Come again.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, I know. He just did a lot of really weird, interesting work under pseudonyms.
It's
this.
strange that he didn't. Well, obviously, you mentioned before that it was due to contractual obligations. I'm not sure what obligations he would have had that didn't allow him to use his actual name in a lot of these things.
Maybe.
But I'm sure that he would have wanted to some degree, because these obviously seem like things that he's really interested in and passion projects and stuff like that. Not that he's not interested in music and being a performer, but I don't know, if you sort of follow the whole scope of his life, it seems like it was something he was a little bit more forced into due to his talent, as opposed to something he really, really wanted to do.
Yeah, true. Yeah, just because you're good at something doesn't mean you want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We basically covered the acquisition by Fox shortly before his death, so we can move on from that. But the reason that it was abolished from Disney Plus was the renewed sexual abuse allegations.
Wait, renewed? Oh, that's right, because there was another documentary a couple of years ago, hey?
Yeah, it's called Leaving Neverland.
Surviving Neverland.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Leaving Neverland.
Yeah.
Okay, I may as well read this note out too now. So, in March 2019, following the release of the documentary film Leaving Neverland, which details allegations against Jackson of child sexual assault, Stark Raving Dad was pulled from circulation. Jackson was previously tried and acquitted of child sexual abuse charges in 2005 and denied any wrongdoing. Brooks told the Wall Street Journal, "This was a treasured episode. There are a lot of great memories we have wrapped up in that one, and this certainly doesn't allow them to remain. I'm against book burning of any kind, but this is our book and we're allowed to take out a chapter." Gene said he believed Jackson had used the episode to groom boys for sexual abuse, although he had never stated this prior to the release of the documentary.
That seems like a fucking stretch. Oh, this is what I thought the whole time.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Did you like it?
Yeah, exactly. That's just pandering to the fucking masses.
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely thought he was a pedo. It's no, you didn't. You were fucking on your knees like everybody else.
Giving him gob to gob.
Oh, he was the biggest star in the world at that point in time, and he wanted to do your show for free.
Do you want me to do your show for free? My first note on the episode. Yes, we are talking about a Simpsons episode here. Bart showing his lack of care. This was in reference to him not giving a shit about Lisa's birthday, and Lisa woke him up by choking him essentially.
Yeah, holding his nose closed so that he essentially starts suffocating.
And you brought up that was a real life through line for us.
Yeah, I think I tried to wake you up at some point like that during our childhood, because you're notoriously hard to wake up. You slept through a smoke alarm once, if I recall.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Well, you don't, but other people do.
I remember secondhand being told in the morning, "Oh, sorry if that smoke alarm woke you up."
What?
What smoke alarm? The one that woke us all up? No?
Just sleeping soundly on the front lawn while the house burns to the ground.
I've got in quotation marks here, I washed it. I didn't.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because Homer comes in looking for his shirt, and it turns out that Bart's lucky red cap, which I'm wondering when that stops being a thing. It's like not something that he wears all the time kind of thing, but it's I don't know, it's used to signify like outdoor or adventure Bart kind of thing.
Yeah.
When he's got it on.
Excursion boy.
Yeah, something like that. Because, yeah, there's like a couple of instances in these earlier seasons where he has it, and it's not really like a focal point kind of thing, but he does mention like, oh, my lucky red hat kind of thing. And then he just sort of stops wearing it.
Yeah.
I wonder when that happens. It just gets phased out as a concept.
Maybe after the box episode. There's probably a few more times after that, but
That's probably like the most memorable use of the hat is the box factory episode.
And I love that it's always used in an ironic way. It's like he thinks it's a lucky red cap, but there's always something going wrong with the cap. Like washed Homer's shirts, made them all pink in this episode.
Yeah.
The box factory, they presumed he was dead.
The time that sticks out to me though is I can't remember the exact episode, but it's got that like montage at the start of it. It's like a takeoff of Indiana Jones.
Yeah, yeah.
And he like slides under the garage door and takes it with him. Yeah. He steals like the jar full of change. Yeah.
Homer comes out in his undies.
Yeah, he's running around
brandishing a rake.
Like a fucking.
Oh, so good.
So yeah, then he ends up having to wear the pink shirt to work.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Burns and Smithers are like analyzing the entire workforce as they walk single file through the doors, which is very
micromanagey.
Yeah, just dystopian.
Yeah. Yeah. My note for that scene is a recurring gag where he already forgets who Homer is.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because we've actually had like instances in like the last couple of weeks with Burn-centric episodes.
Yeah.
Specifically,
the Blood Feud one
last week. Yeah.
Yeah. So this one, like they're pointing Homer out in the crowd because of the pink shirt, and they zoom in on him, and Burns says, "Who the devil is that?" And then Smithers says, like, it's like a Chair Morrison from Sector 7G.
I think calls him a boob.
That's right. And then my next note for that was, why does Burns hate pink so much? And he sort of correlates Smithers with the color pink as well in some aspect.
Are you trying to say it comes from like a place of homophobia? Because yeah, most likely does. He's extremely old, and like pink was a gay color to old people. Once again, you can't hit the button. I'm just fucking stating facts.
Lucky you cut me off there because I was about to say something that definitely was bleep worthy. Do you remember we watched Hot Tub Time Machine when Mitch was here? The guy right at the end.
What do you to it?
Matt loves rooting. Keegs loves cameras. Everyone's scared when Ned slanders.
Not me.
Everyone beware of Ned's slanders.
Fucking not a particularly good movie, but like that scene like elevates it 100%.
Yeah.
It's like you could watch the entire movie and be like, this isn't very funny, and then you see that and you're like, this is probably one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. That was fucking great.
Just so well timed and out of the blue.
Yeah.
Out of all the things he could have said.
My next note is this the origin of the Simpsons donut? Because of this whole like pink shirt fiasco, he then walks through like and goes up to Lenny and Carl, and they say something about they saved him a donut.
Yeah.
And it's got pink frosting on it.
Yeah.
I've never really like noticed him being inclined towards like donuts with pink frosting before this, but it's now just sort of becomes synonymous with the Simpsons. It's like you go to donut shops and they'll have a Simpsons donut, which is literally just pink frosting with the multicolored sprinkles on it. Yeah.
And I would fuck with that.
Yeah, it's generally, in most places, it's generally pretty good.
Where do you put it? The throat hole.
But yeah, I was just wondering if that's where that sort of started becoming a thing.
Yeah, it probably is because we haven't really seen too many donut-related episodes as yet.
Not completely related. There was only that like mention a couple of weeks ago of when he goes on the diet.
Yeah.
And the guy says he's going to go out of business.
That's right.
It's just kind of strange that like that particular style of donut became so synonymous with the show's imagery as well. Just like visually, it's like every depiction of Homer that you see where he's got a donut, it's always a pink one with like the sprinkles, or even stuff like Blinky. Like the donut becomes so visually entangled with the show's identity like that.
Yeah.
It's like really strange. Oh, niece.
Hello, Luis. What are you doing?
This is our guest this week.
Hello.
No one can see it. No.
It's Pat and Air.
Hello. Oh, she's not there.
I wonder if any donut shops actually saw like an uptick in their sales because of like the fact that it was one of the most popular shows in the world, and probably the most popular food on it was donuts.
I don't know. Any donut salesmen out there?
Yeah.
Listen to us?
Reach out.
Yeah. Of our 20 listeners.
Any donut salesman with dead dads?
Any Krispy Kremers out there?
Did you say cream hole?
What do you call it? A cream hole.
My next note is Homer's got that sheet to take home of like proving his sanity essentially, and reads the first thing and it's like print name. Oh, it's already like too much for him. So he takes it home and tries to get Marge to fill it out for him. She won't do it. Lisa also won't do it. And then he just goes back to Bart.
Yeah, well, when he walks into Lisa, she starts reciting a poem about like,
She'll do
just
it if he listens to that.
how she's turned 8. And she essentially just starts going on about how all of her pets have died in some horrible fucking way.
I don't care.
Which, yeah, he then just goes, I don't give a fuck, and just walks out. But it's funny that she was reciting a poem about Snowball, and then it cuts downstairs and Snowball is sitting on top of Homer.
Yeah, and it's one of the only times that I can remember with like Homer actually comforting the pets in a way.
I've noticed that they've done that in the last couple of weeks. Like they've like specifically like if they've mentioned a pet in the previous scene, it will be like immediately shown with a family member in the next one.
Right, okay.
They did it with Snowball a couple of weeks ago. Can't remember who mentions her, but then like it cuts to the next scene and Lisa and Marge are doing something and Snowball's like on top of the washing machine with them.
Yeah, true. That was the Mr. Bergstrom episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Now that you mention it. The point that I wanted to bring up was like Homer laying on the lounge while Bart was filling out his checklist. Homer just wasn't listening at all, and he was watching, what was it, like America's Funniest Home Videos, or like the worst reincarnations of it. And it was the dog on fire was one of the things. And Homer was laughing.
Yep, that's right.
And then baby with a nail gun. And you
Just
can hear
like,
it in the
"Aw."
background. Yeah. Just the worst things ever.
Which doesn't Maggie shoot him with a nail gun at some point in time?
Yeah, his ears get stuck to
Yeah.
the wall. Yeah.
So that's kind of funny.
Simpsons predicted it for themselves.
Yes. My next note is Michael Jackson was a surprisingly good voice actor.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because the writers of the show said afterwards, or after the fact, that like he wasn't a particularly good actor at all, and he chose to do all his voice lines separately to everyone else and didn't use like the separate trailer for him. So he came in when no one else was there to do it.
So he's not actually like bouncing off or doing a table read with people. Like,
No. He got given a script and he read it essentially. But like his cadence and his voice really stood out in the episode, of course.
Yeah, it's like it's very different to what you're used to hearing.
Definitely. One more quote before we get to Homer meeting Michael Jackson is, "Careful, boys, he wets his pants."
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because Bart was just checking everything at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Then he goes and does a Rorschach test.
Yeah.
Before they classify him insane. Where he says something about how can you actually tell that I'm insane? He says we have a very complicated system to be able to do that, and he just stamps his hand. Yeah, see, anybody that has this, they're insane.
The first scene where Homer meets Michael Jackson in the cell and they're sort of talking later on. Michael Jackson's sort of talking him through like a hard time, like Homer realizing that he can't see his family and stuff because he's locked up.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael Jackson sings him a song to go to sleep. When Homer starts mumbling in his sleep, Kompowski tells his stuffed animals, Bubbles, it's going to be a long night. Bubbles is the name of Jackson's chimpanzee. Kompowski also says he was upset when his 1979 album Off the Wall received only 1 Grammy nomination. The writers had read that the real Jackson was genuinely upset.
I don't think I've ever even heard of that album.
Off the Wall.
Yeah.
It's got some bangers on it.
Like,
Can't
what?
name any of them, but Spotify will tell us. No kids, 3 money.
We'll return right now.
Any good ones on Off the Wall?
No, nothing that really sticks out.
No. I'll just go fuck myself then.
Nah. I mean, don't stop till you get enough, maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah, not enough to warrant a fucking Grammy for an entire album, though. The song, maybe.
Mm. Maybe that's why it only got 1 Grammy.
You would
nomination.
assume so.
What else you got for MJ? Anything from the initial scenes? My next one is when Michael Jackson's like introducing him to the other people in the insane asylum, and they get to like the Native American looking dude, and Michael Jackson's like, "Oh, this is Chief. He's never said a word since he's been in here. Hey, Chief, hello." And then the bunch of people like mob around him.
Yeah, they all congregate around him. He says something like, well, nobody ever reached out to me before.
Yeah.
It's like one of the first, or is it the second time that they've referenced One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? Because this entire episode is just one giant reference to that movie.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
It's like a Stanley Kubrick one, isn't it? Yeah. I think
Jack Nicholson, like really young Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was another reference to Stanley Kubrick as well, but maybe not. Nope. Just this one. All right. What's next for you?
All the reality shows on speed dial.
All the reality shows.
So after I'm not sure if it's immediately after he speaks to that like chief character, who I'm pretty sure reoccurs in like a couple of later seasons, but he convinces him to like call home, and Bart ends up answering and doesn't really give a fuck about what Homer has to say. But
Yep.
if you look down the side of the phone, there's like all of the what would have been current reality shows at that point in time, or like not reality, like talk shows kind of thing, like Oprah, Maury Povich, Jerry Springer, and stuff like that.
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
I didn't actually write all of them down, but it was just kind of funny to me that it was like all of those were on speed dial from an insane asylum. So that's where all of these people go directly for like, oh, you know, I've been released. Now it's going time to tell my story on daytime TV.
Yeah, true. What would create the best buzz? My next quote is, "You don't want him to get a lobotomy, do you?" Bart's playing with like a ball or something and a lamp breaks. "That's all right, son."
Oh yeah, I remember that, but I couldn't remember what actually like preceded the line.
Yeah.
Like I remember that like flash that he has kind of thing, but
I think it's like Michael Jackson and Bart talking on the phone saying like, "Oh, you need to do this, this, and this to get your dad out." And
that's
Bart's
right, because
just
Homer doesn't
starstruck.
actually call.
No.
That's right. Yeah, because what does Bart write down? It says something, loves us, needs us, needs us, fears he may never see us again. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hangs up the phone.
Gives it to Marge and then goes and tells everyone about Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He moonwalks into the kitchen.
Yeah. My note is this would have been surreal to be on the set for, like so many lines for a guest star as well. This was before I realized that he didn't do the singing parts, but it still would have been cool.
Well, judging by what you said before, he wasn't in the studio at any point in time with anybody, so
Yeah.
wouldn't have really been cool for anybody.
I wrote that note beforehand, clearly.
It kind of makes a lot of sense as well. It's like during the latter parts of his career, which would have been like around this time, he was super secretive. Like released music here and there, like worked on projects like this, but just like, I think it was like, yeah, he just like completely disappeared from the public eye, and just like every time he appeared again, he was doing something insane, like
Right.
dangling a baby off off a balcony or fucking going to a court case for
Turning white.
Yeah, turning white.
Yeah,
This is like post that. Yeah.
I was about to say this had to be obviously wait for all the allegations, but before he started dangling babies off fucking balconies and such.
Yeah. But it's more just like the start of like the downslide of him mentally, you know what I mean? Where it's just like, he just like isolated himself and just started doing heaps of weird shit.
Yeah. We've had a few sort of crazy guests on the show recently, like last week with Britney Spears.
Oh, yeah.
Having all that shit about her people talking for her essentially and not wanting to say songbird.
Yeah. Well, like even in her case, it's like her dad basically like stole all of her money, like in her early career.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucked.
Catfish.
Does he immediately get out after that? Oh no, Marge is on the phone to like some form of hotline, which is like wrongfully committed people.
Yeah.
Then she goes in and starts speaking to the doctor, and she mentions Bart, and he freaks out. He's like, wait, there actually is a Bart? Because he thinks that Homer's just been making up this shit the entire time.
Yeah.
So then they go in and tell him that, you know, you're not insane. Here's a certificate to prove it. Or he says you're not insane. He's like, can I get that in writing?
Yeah.
He hands him that like little
Not
certificate.
insane.
Yeah. It's like a full like, you know, like academic award and framed and everything.
Yeah.
And then he says something about like he turns to Michael Jackson and says like, when you get out of here, you know, come and like give us a call. And he's like, oh, I'm getting out of here today. I'm only here voluntarily. And it's like, what?
Yeah. And then he says something to Homer, and Homer replies, "Are you sure you're not crazy?" I don't know. I can't remember what Michael Jackson liked to have that said, but
yeah, I don't remember because the next scene kind of threw me off, but we'll save that for later on in the episode.
There was another out of place character this week. So we had Hitler a few weeks ago. Hannibal Lecter was in the background of the Nut House. Maybe not out of place, but just...
Yeah, I wouldn't say particularly out of place. And when I noticed him, I kind of started thinking that there's probably a bunch of other people dotted around that are like, you know, famous psychopathic movie characters or, you know, people from history or something like that.
I think there was a long list. I just couldn't be bothered reading them all out.
I assume that first guy that I spoke to was supposed to be something akin to Rain Man.
Yeah, that was. Yeah.
Homer just asked him what 9 times 5 is.
That's right. Give him any sum you want and he'll answer it straight away. And Homer's blown away.
Any 2 numbers you want and he can multiply them, and he chooses part of like the primary school times table.
Yeah. And I'm not easily impressed. Whoa, 9 times 5. Was this the first instance of Bart answering the home phone and saying like a stupid line instead of him calling out to Mose and sort of making something funny up?
That I can think of, yeah, but it's once again like the Lucky Red Hat is one of those things that just dies over a period of time. It becomes a common theme whenever he answers the home phone that he says something stupid like that.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure, once again, when that just stops being a thing. Because eventually he does stop doing it.
Right. Yeah, I can't remember it too much in like the Goldilocks zone of season 4 to 10.
Yeah.
But again, it probably is in there somewhere. It's just sort of covered by jokes. There was one, like a thing that gets stuck in my head, like words or phrases that the show comes up with. And it was when Bart is, I think it was, did he have 2 calls with Michael Jackson on the phone?
No, there's only the one that I could think of.
Okay. Well, he gets off the phone and
he calls Milhouse.
Yeah, Michael Jackson says not to tell anyone that he's there. And then he calls Milhouse. Hey, Milhouse, can you keep a secret? No. Well, I'm going to tell you anyway. Michael Jackson's coming to my house. And then it just goes through like the montage of everyone getting a call about Michael Jackson. And I think Kearney says like, Michael Jackson. And that is burnt into my memory of anytime Michael Jackson's mentioned, that's the phrase that I hear it in.
I think seeing Kearney kind of threw me off in the whole thing because he looks really like similar to Leon Kompowski.
Yeah, he does actually.
Like same hairstyle, nearly the same. Like they have sort of a similar facial structure.
God, you're older, balder, fatter son.
Yeah.
I've only got a couple more like bits of context for the episode. Not really any more notes. What about you?
My next note is Treehouse doesn't help the accusations.
That was my next note. Too. Bart and MJ in the treehouse spying on children.
Spying on children. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder who.
I can see why they had to get rid of this.
Wonder who wanted that in the script.
Yeah, the signs were there.
On closer inspection, Bart is naked.
Yeah, it definitely didn't age well with the context.
No. The next thing I have is the Lisa It's Your Birthday song, which we, I think, played last week.
He's getting a pretty good sound out of that bin.
I'll play a little bit of the song that I got sent for my birthday.
Which
by
was like,
a friend of the show.
did we play that last week or 2 weeks ago? I think it was 2 weeks ago.
I don't care.
One of them.
Melbourne, it's your birthday. Arceus bless you this day.
Since we've heard it before, but that was just another little bit that I thought we should throw into this episode because it pertains to exactly the next song that got written. So the Lisa It's Your Birthday song has to be up there in like most memorable songs from a show of all time.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
trying to like think of things to
100%
compare
agree.
to it.
Mm.
I wouldn't say that there's anything else that like stands out more, to be honest.
Mm. Yeah, there's a
Of
few-
things made specifically for content.
Yeah. I suppose like another one we can relate it to is like Smithers' birthday, not getting what he wants. Happy birthday, Mr. Smithers.
Yeah, but that's it's an amalgamation of an existing song. This is like a standalone piece of content made for this kind of thing.
I wonder if like Michael Jackson had written that song but sort of didn't know what to do with it and brought it to the plate here.
I wonder. Doesn't like sound particularly like something. Like it does sound like him, but it like if that just randomly turned up on a Michael Jackson album, I don't feel like it'd sound out of place.
Maybe you could say like insert name, it's your birthday, insert name.
I don't know. Like it just like it sounds childish to me. But that's obviously the point of it. Yeah. Probably got to cut that one out.
Yeah.
Did you have to salt his name so no one would ever listen to him again? Well, yeah.
And then
Which it's like, you got to do some pretty fucking bad shit for no one to listen to you. It's like, people still listen to Michael Jackson.
and Chris Brown and
R. Kelly. Wait,
Yeah.
why Chris Brown?
beats women.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Not even like a little bit. Like,
No, like a
Fucking-
groin-grabbingly big amount. That's the
like,
thing.
what?
Like, if they're popular enough, people are going to look past that shit, regardless of what they do.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, there's nothing worse than like pedophilia.
Kanye went on a fucking podcast this week wearing a black Klan outfit. And I think he released an album today. Watch everybody forget about the Black Klan thing and just be like, this album's not that good. It's like, yeah, but don't you remember the shit that he did last week?
Wasn't there a movie called Black Klansman?
There was.
yeah.
Was he in that?
No.
Doing whiteface? What was the reason for him to even
I-
wear a Black Klansman
I
outfit?
don't
He's
know.
gone. He's
Did you see the
fucking
album?
nuts,
The
bro.
album cover is literally just like hand scrawled fucking like title track with swastikas next to it.
Jesus, is he trying to die?
It's all just a fucking ploy.
He's lost his mind.
Well, it's debatable.
Or is he doing it because he knows how much of
I
a
said this to
uproar
someone the
there'd
other
be?
day. I was like, he is either like 1000% losing his mind in real time, or he's just the most genius marketer on the planet.
Wouldn't
Because if he
say it's
stops doing
genius, it's like,
if he stops doing this shit in like a week, everyone's gonna listen to the album.
but it's been like a consistent thing for like the last few years.
Since
Like-
he's been turned into a gay fish, there's not much coming back from that.
Yeah, once South Park gets you and you react to it.
Yeah. The next note I have is just Michael Jackson drops the facade. It's like straight after the song. And
Yeah,
then-
immediately.
Yeah. Then he becomes Leon Kompowski, which was voiced by Hank Azaria.
Oh, okay. I was wondering, yeah, that sounded like similar, but I was like, did they get somebody in specifically to do that?
Yeah.
I kind of had the thought straight away that it's like, I wonder if this is the guy singing. And I was like, that can't be.
Yeah, a bit too deep and gruff. Gruff? I mean, shit. Which comes up in the next episode.
It does.
Anything else for this one?
No, I got nothing.
Okay. I got one more sort of big note here, I guess. A year after Stark Raving Dad aired, the writers planned a sequel in which Kompowski would return, this time claiming to be the pop star Prince. The script was written by freelancers and polished by Conan O'Brien. According to Reese, it saw Kompowski encourage the Springfield residents to loosen up, become more flamboyant, become more openly sexual. Prince agreed to voice Kompowski and sent notes about what his character would wear, but the writers discovered that Prince was referring to a script that had been written by his chauffeur. Prince disliked their script and demanded the other one be used, but the writers refused. The script became one of the few unproduced Simpsons scripts. Following Prince's death in 2016, showrunner Al Jean posted 2 screenshots of scenes from the script. I've never seen it or heard of that before.
Seems kind of weird that they would go with that tone as well, like specifically around that period of time.
What, getting Prince on?
No, like it was what, early 90s?
The gay thing?
Yeah.
What are you
Eric?
up to?
Oh, it's just a very, like, that just seems like a strange choice to me. It
Very out there concept for an episode. Would have been. I feel like it would have been good.
It would have been good, but it's just, I feel like it would have definitely polarized the audience.
Yeah.
More than the Simpsons are known to do, especially at that period of time.
Again, he probably would have gone under a pseudonym as well. So, like, unless people were really, like,
Yeah, but you
looking
can't
into
not
it.
tell that it's Prince.
Yeah, but, like, when these episodes aired, there wasn't internet to research this type of shit either. So, like, you probably would just have to assume.
Once again, it's just, it's if you listen to this and you were alive in the world at that point in time and you didn't know that it was Michael Jackson.
I think, yeah, because of the portrayal of a big fat white guy, that's what threw a spanner in the works for people.
I suppose.
Because you can imitate anyone's voice if you're good enough.
Yeah.
So,
We don't even have to be good enough these days. You can just fucking make it.
yeah, true. Yeah, that's all I got. I remember the episode being better than rewatching it today.
It's another one of these earlier episodes that they just tend to move more towards the message as opposed to jokes.
And this was also meant to be in season 2, this episode. But because of production, it came out later than
Oh,
expected.
they pushed it back.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like it's a strong way to open the 3rd season, though.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's like what people would
Was.
Also, yeah, was. Especially like sort of opening up what people consider like the golden era of The Simpsons, like season 3 up to like season 8.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's always going to be up for debate, like when The Simpsons got good and when it went bad. There was easily a 10-year period where it was incredible. Like season 2 was fucking good.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like when that golden era starts.
Yeah.
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 It's definitely not season 1.
No.
No, definitely not.
No.
There's some good episodes in there, but it's just like the show is still definitely trying to find its footing and it's just like not quite there yet.
Yeah, building itself into what it is.
What's that, Duncan? You say you want to dive again? Well,
This is clearly a case of animal cruelty. Do you have a permit for that?
no problem, sir. It's in my car. You gotta stop being so trusting, Chief.
I'd rather let 1,000 guilty men go free than chase after them.
Season 11, episode 13.
Yep. Titled SADDLESORE GALACTICA. Synopsis reads, The Simpsons rescue a diving horse named Duncan from abuse and keep him as a pet, despite comic book guys' protests that The Simpsons have done this before. But when the cost of upkeeping the horse rises, Homer and Bart train Duncan to be a racing horse. Meanwhile, Lisa is upset over her school losing the band competition to Ogdenville unfairly at the state fair and writes a letter to Bill Clinton in protest.
How many times does comic book guy come back in the episode and say that they're like rehashing an old storyline?
3 times.
Yeah.
When's the third one?
I've got it written down here. So the episode is heavily self-referential and contains... the episode is heavily self-referential and contains a number of meta-references. When the Simpsons take Duncan home from the fair, comic book guy points out to the Simpsons that they have already taken in a horse as a pet, as seen in Lisa's pony, and that the expense forced Homer to work at the Quickie Mart with hilarious consequences. In another scene later in the episode, when Lisa points out to Marge that Marge is showing signs of gambling problems, comic book guy shows up again wearing a t-shirt that says worst episode ever and tells Lisa, "Hey, I'm watching you." This refers to the fact that Marge's gambling problems have already been explored in the episode Springfield with a money sign. I don't remember the third one, but...
What's the third one?
Yeah, he pops up again at the end of the episode, and Homer's just like, "Oh, did anybody actually like this guy?"
No, that's the first
is that the
instance.
first? Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe I'm stupid.
We
Where's
just want a
the
rule of
third
3
one?
so bad.
No, I feel like
there
it
are
was.
heaps of rules of 3 in this episode.
Yeah.
So many.
Yeah, well, I feel like that was one of them.
Yeah, we'll come up with the third one at some point. I've got a good rule of 3s one straight away, which was when they got to the fair or whatever it was. Marge is looking at all those, like, sort of like a live infomercial. So, like, Miracle Shears was the first one. And there's like a prop car door and the scissors just cut completely through it. The next one is the drain bugger, which, like, I've always remembered as, like, something that's stuck in my mind, just that stag beetle looking thing going through the guts of the sink. And then the third thing was the omnigogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just how, like, over dramatic the guy that presented that was. And he says something like, have you ever been wary of the elastic band around your newspaper? No, but I worry about it every day.
My number one concern.
Yeah. And then, like, puts these omnigogs on and shoots himself in the face, and it blows him back into the wall.
Yeah, I was about to say he gets like blown back into the wall or
I'm
on
okay,
the floor
folks.
or something like that.
Thanks to my omnigogs. And then a highly memed moment. Little late for a Lanny.
Yeah.
Turns around, he's got the eye patch on. It's like, sure, that happened in real life to someone.
Wonder when his first eye injury was.
Ooh. I remember the pudding being thrown into it.
Spring?
The spring as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that was like not that long ago, actually.
Oh.
Because Homer
That
gives
was
him-
the Olympics episode.
Yeah.
So that was season 10.
Oh.
So there must have been a couple before that.
I think the pudding one is probably before that as well.
Eat the pudding, eat the pudding, eat the pudding, eat the pudding.
Oh, maybe it's not. I don't know. But yeah, there's got to be a specific instance where his eye gets something in it.
Maybe
But I can't remember.
it's not the dental plan episode. I don't know. He's featured heavily in that, so it could be.
Maybe.
If one of our 20 listeners knows, reach out. That way we don't have to look it up ourselves.
Please.
Anything else for the start of the episode for you?
Makes me think I should have done something with my life.
Ah, who cares?
It's not like a frequent quote that comes up, but it does sort of like come into my head whenever I see, not like somebody I know generally, but just like, you know, like somebody's doing something like impressive or something like that. So it makes me think I should have done something with my life. Oh, well. Just goes back to what he's doing.
Yeah, yeah. That was a good one, actually. There's a lot of moments like that that come up in your life naturally, too. It's like, oh, I wish I did that. Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah. My next part is like probably one of my favorite bits of the episode where whatever that band is performing there, and Homer's just fucking belligerent, and they're like saying that they're going to play all their new tracks and then some of their classics, and then Homer's what was the song called again?
Taking care of business.
Yeah. Play Taking Care of Business. Okay. And then they start playing Get to the Working Overtime part. Just doesn't give a shit.
Yes. Then watches them play Ain't Seen Nothing Yet and asks them to immediately play it.
Yeah, we just did. There's been a few good like music related scenes that Homer's been invested in, like the Lollapalooza episode
This episode itself featured a lot of outside music, which is something that generally doesn't happen. We obviously got like probably the dudes from that band like voicing themselves, I would assume.
Yeah.
And then later on after like they've turned the horse into a badass, we get like a little snippet of The Distance by who the fuck sings that? It's someone. I know the name of the song is The Distance.
I don't care.
Anyway, someone's screaming at their fucking phone right now. Good song though.
But I think it's like also the turning point of where they do start using a lot of licensed music just to like fill in over like voice.
I feel like Stars and Stripes Forever sounds like a real song.
That is a real song.
Oh, it is a real song, but that would be more like public domain kind of thing.
But like actually using fully licensed songs like Going the Distance and things like that.
Shit they would have had to pay for and clear and all that kind of thing.
My next note is just
wish people would stop telling me to step right up.
That's Marge, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. She had like a lot of good like lines in this episode itself.
I love when she's a cunt to Lisa for no reason. Like just because she's like sick of like essentially Lisa being a whiny cunt.
Yeah.
Like she says, I can't remember what Lisa says. She says something. Oh, she's like, state unfair. Marge's just like, yeah, right, Lisa. That's what I said. State unfair.
Yeah.
She's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Marge is trying to like get her out of that slump that she's in. And
Yeah.
She just throws her back in her face.
Exactly.
Like, well, fuck you then.
Exactly. Yeah. She's trying her best as a mum.
Yeah. She does that a few times. Like when her like good nature gets turned back on her.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I tried.
Yeah. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Another Marge quote now that we have them here is, I didn't say they couldn't. I said you shouldn't. When Homer's deep frying his shirt. See, Marge? I told you they could deep fry my shirt.
And he doesn't eat it. I vaguely remember him like taking a bite of it or something, but obviously that doesn't happen.
I feel like the deep fried shirt looks similar to the nacho hat.
Kinda.
So I think that could be where the mind discrepancy is.
Maybe, yeah.
I think it's just like with a lot of these like season 11 to beyond episodes, like I haven't watched them as much.
Yeah.
So you misremember things, or it's like a Bernstein Bears thing. Like the Mandela effect.
Yeah, 100%.
Like we literally had it last week where Homer gets into the self-dresser, and it's like I think we all remembered that episode where he's
got scratches all over his back
and it's
and
just
shit.
like I swear that's how it. I remember watching the episode, but apparently not.
Yeah, even the Homer dramatizing that scene around the dinner table when he was blackout drunk, and we always thought it was brilliant. I declare this is the most winsome shape of the season.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. Didn't say brilliant.
I don't know
all.
where we got that from.
Yeah. I wonder if there is just every now and then an episode that's slightly fucked with and they put it out there just for this purpose, because it has to like resonate somewhere. It can't just be like that many times where the Mandela effect comes into like real
I mean,
life.
there's got to be a couple. Most of them would probably just be us like pushing scenes together in our head because, you know, like we said the other week, we've seen hundreds of episodes of this. So sometimes it's hard to differentiate what's exactly what.
Yeah, true.
Unless there's a like huge discrepancy with like the animation or something like that. But especially in these early seasons, it's kind of hard to pull apart.
Yeah.
But there's definitely got to be one or two that are like actual something else has happened and has been changed over the period of time.
Yeah, that's like when we watched like MacGruber on whatever it was streaming on, and I was like, oh yeah, like this scene had this in it in the DVD. Like obviously there's different cuts of the movie and whatnot, but there's always a cut that like I haven't seen for a movie that I really like, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. And especially like in this day and age as well, stuff would be like going through filters consistently.
Yeah, true.
To make sure that everything's like okay
PG,
to be. No, not even that. Just like even stuff that is like rated like for mature audiences would still go through a lot of those processes.
The PC principle has to,
because yeah, it's one of those things. As soon as something's brought up and it becomes enough of a thing,
yeah, it's
like that people are just trying to eliminate the problem before there is one.
Yeah, like our segment, you can't say that anymore.
Yeah,
we've already done that.
So this is when they find the horse jumping off a fucking diving board into a tiny ass pool.
Yeah. I had one more note before that. It was just like something that we do a lot to each other when we're like trying to get a point across and the other person's not quite getting it. It's just like the
Oh yeah. Yeah, Homer blatantly misunderstands the red, white, and blue reference, which is obviously talking about the Ogdenville score, and he's just like, Delisa thinks she's gonna win.
Yeah, because she's like.
Then they announce this. They announce that it's Ogdenville that won, and he looks at her and does it again.
Yeah, they just replayed the exact same scene.
Yeah.
It was fucking perfect. Like the comedic timing in some of these episodes is just spot on.
Something I've noticed, like a lot of animation actually does. I've been rewatching a lot of like some of the old like Pokemon cartoons and stuff like that. It's fucking hilarious how many times they'll just use the exact same fucking frame kind of thing. It's like, okay, we have a frame for this one doing flamethrower. We'll just use it for 100 episodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, like
It's the best.
Old anime like that is egregious for doing it. Like literally, they'll do like almost like a sliding PNG, but just like animate the background around it.
Yep.
Like
yeah,
to imply movement.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think The Simpsons showcased that. I can't remember what episode it was, but they were like making a point in conversation in the show, and it was something about not having to pay for extra animation. So like they were sort of walking past doorways and there was someone cleaning, and then they took like 2 more steps and then the same cleaner was there cleaning the spot again.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what it is, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. They're making some reference to like reused resources or something like that. And yeah, there's somebody doing something in a room, then someone different, then it just goes back to the first one.
Yeah.
It'll come up at some point in time.
Yeah.
The fucking, I haven't got it written down, but just the expression that the dude gives after Duncan dives into the pool for the first time. He's like, what's that, Duncan? You want to dive again? Well, before he cuts himself off.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's like one of the funniest deliveries in the entire episode. It's like, so Duncan.
Yeah.
You want to dive again?
And then Wiggum comes forward and asks him if he's got a permit for animal cruelty. No problem, sir. It's in my car. Essentially like half moonwalks, bit of a through line, and then jumps in the car and fucks off and lose like
1,000 guilty men get away, then chase him.
Then chase him. Just the laziest shit ever.
Just very anti-cop rhetoric.
Yeah.
And then not do his job at all.
Yeah, essentially says like, we're going to kill this horse or somebody needs to take it. So
we're going to take him to the dog food factory.
Yeah. And that's, Homer says some like, good luck trying to make him eat dog food, which is kind of like they make 2 different jokes kind of thing, like subverting the expectation about the horse.
Yeah.
Then we get that comic book guy interjection.
Yep.
Which is kind of a nice little, it was 2 weeks ago now, wasn't it? Yeah, the comic book, 3 Men in a Comic Book episode where he's introduced kind of thing. It's nice to see that like, change sort of in like a recent enough time period, because it's like we got the initial introduction of him where he wasn't too bad, and then we get like full flight cunt in this episode where he's just like, you know, breaking the 4th wall kind of shit.
I kind of wonder where that change is. Like in season, like it's
wouldn't be long.
Like in that episode in season 2, he's very much his own character.
Yeah.
And where he sort of transitions into more being
a stereotype of a billion different people,
or just a stand-in for the audience, essentially. You know what I mean? Like he's like, it seems like he becomes like the writer's sort of stand-in for snarky fans, being like, oh yeah, the Simpsons you've already done this episode, you've already done this, you've already done that. Like,
he's thinking what critics and analysts are thinking.
Yeah. And then I suppose it's their way of also saying, like, we don't give a fuck with Homer's next line of, does anybody care what this guy thinks? And everyone's like, no. He's just like, So they take the horse home, and
Marge is counting how much this horse is going to cost to keep per week. And then Homer's trying to like see the good side of it. Like, but Marge, the horse comes up with something there and then says, what about all your Googars that you bought?
Yeah, I don't have to feed any of my stuff except for the mop. Throws crackers at it.
I think I said it as we were watching. That was like one of the best parts of imagery for the episode. Like the mop sort of expands, like doesn't have a mouth, but just gets bigger, and then the biscuits disappear.
Yeah, it absorbs them essentially.
Yeah, so good. And then Marge goes on another like tirade to Lisa about one of the things that she bought from the fair that's really good. It was the fire extinguisher endorsed by George Foreman and Linda Carter.
Well, that's later on, but yeah.
It's in roughly the same scene.
Yeah, because Lisa's writing the note to Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Trying to get the results overturned or just trying to get attention about it, essentially. Yeah, and she just lights the curtain on fire.
Yeah. And Lisa's like going, oh, wait, what the fuck? What are you doing?
Yeah, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
And her reasoning is that it's the only fire extinguisher endorsed by both Linda Carter and George Foreman. It's like, I don't understand why that's a good thing, but okay.
Maybe George Foreman did something because of like all the cooking things. Maybe he set something on fire accidentally. And then
I think it's more just like the product placement, sort of like style of advertising that was going around at the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, just kind of funny that he came up again in recent weeks, considering he died within the month.
Rip cunt. I'll just get that in there.
So then they take the horse to a football field and are trying to make him kick field goals, which is a reference to a 1976 movie called Gus.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I didn't read too much into it, but that's essentially
a wonder horse of some kind.
Yeah, he kicks field goals and stuff like that. He ends up on a football team to some degree. I can't imagine how terrible the animation stuff would have been, but if anybody's seen it, write in.
Wait, is it an animated movie or is it?
No, it's a real movie.
Like a live action movie?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
like 1976, so it would have been like, putting peanut butter in the horse's mouth to make it talk kind of.
I wonder how many horses died on that set, bro.
Did they have to tape a bunch of cats together to film that?
I was about to make that joke.
You stole my bit. 2 weeks in a row.
There's so many weird movies like that, though. Like, I know there's, like, I've seen it years ago. It's called MVP, Most Vertical Primate, and it's about a skateboarding monkey.
Oh my God.
It's fucking awful, but incredible.
What did you just say?
I don't know, something about being gay.
Fucking what? How do people get away with this shit?
They have just someone.
That's someone's favorite movie too.
I don't know.
Someone. Some pathetic soul.
Either that or it's like totally ironic, where it's like, oh yeah, my favorite movie is Most Vertical Primate.
Yeah.
True.
But also it's a movie about a skateboarding monkey that's fucking hilarious, dude.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. It has potential.
We'll have to watch that. I've got another misdirected joke. So it was what you sort of touched on before of them Homer making a reference that he doesn't quite understand, and you think the joke's going somewhere else. So it was after they realize Duncan's fast, so they take him to the race course, and Homer's got all these like betting slips. One betting slip, please. He says, that horse better win or we're going to take a trip to the glue factory and he won't get to come.
Yeah. Such a good joke.
Yeah.
Just the comedic pause in it is absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And then it cuts straight downstairs to Marge trying to actually place a bet. And she says something like, can't I just bet the horses are all going to have a good time? Yeah, I think you want that line over there, lady. Wuss bets.
Skinner's in the line too.
And Lovejoy as well, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, that was perfect. And then she comes back with like a whole lot of gambling slips and says like she's got a box trifecta and all these like
she's got
terms
like
that you use for horse racing.
Yeah, she's put like, money on the nose to like for Duncan to win and then like boxed him in with the 3 and the 8 and fucking this and that. Mom, I think you might have a gambling problem.
Yeah, I think that's where the comic book guy comes back into it with that shirt.
Which I can relate to that because I knew nothing about horse racing until like 3 months ago. And now I know way too much.
Right.
Thanks, Greg.
Or Gregory, as he likes to be called. Fuck up, idiot.
That was so... I gotta tell you that. So fucking... Greg and Johnny just like bully each other relentlessly. Maybe more like Greg just bullying Johnny relentlessly because Johnny just takes everything and usually has like some form of fucked response. I'm sitting outside the other night and all I can hear is Johnny walk into the kitchen and go to Greg. He goes, oh, thanks for buying us dinner, Gregory. And Greg, without missing a beat, just goes, fuck off, idiot. I was laughing for like 10 minutes.
One of those things that you hear and then just replays in your mind.
Yeah, and it just kept getting funnier. It's one of those things that like, it kept getting funnier and then it's like, oh, people are going to come out and ask what I'm laughing at, so I need to stop laughing. And then you try and make yourself stop laughing, which makes you laugh even harder.
Yeah.
Was it like? Did he say it was straight up just like no pause?
Zero pause. There was not a breath in between. Like, thanks for buying dinner, Gregory. Fuck off, idiot.
Nailed it.
So good.
Another really good quote here is like Duncan and Bart sort of walk past these sort of snooty looking people in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
It's like some sort of dame and some dude that looks high class.
She's like the old, like typical old rich lady, but I've never seen her with like a husband character.
Yeah, both drinking like a flute of champagne or something like that. And I think Bart or Homer say something to them because they're looking at Duncan and going, oh, look at that disgusting beast or whatever.
They don't say anything to him. No, he's like, this is after they've changed his persona and he's all dressed up and stuff.
Right.
And they comment on like how he looks, and Bart says something to him like "get bent" or some shit like that.
Yeah, and then the guy's monocle falls out and breaks in his glass. He says, "That's my third monocle this week. I simply must stop being so horrified."
That's when we get that montage with the distance.
Yeah,
where Duncan's winning a couple of races essentially by force, not by talent.
Yeah, like bucking the jockeys off. And shit like that.
Like hitting throwing jockeys off, like essentially just scaring all the other horses down so they stay in the gates.
Yeah.
Then Homer gets offered to come into the jockey's lounge for a beer. I wanted to hear that all my life. Walks in, little man, where'd you go? Gets pulled into the thing.
Yeah.
The land of the jockeys.
Yeah. I was wondering if that was like what was it parodying? Was it like a sort of Oompa Loompa type thing with that sort of like fantasy type land?
Wizard of Oz, I assume.
Right, okay.
Right? Yeah.
Like pointy-eared people, like elves, essentially.
Yeah. It's just like short people that live in trees.
Living in a fiberglass tree. Yeah. That must have been it then.
I straight up just don't remember this part of this episode.
Really? This part, like every time I see anything jockey related, straight away the first thing pops in my head is, well, the doctors, Dr. Darrell. Every time.
Yeah. But then there's a dude with a real deep voice too.
Yeah, who looks like Spock.
Yeah. Sounds like Skinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but that's the weird thing as well. There's another one that actually kind of looks like Skinner that doesn't sound like him.
Right. Okay.
There's a couple of characters in the background that sort of look like they've like taken a couple of character models and gone, what would it look like if they were a midget?
Yeah. Mad love.
Can't say that anymore.
I kind of love this like theming though with like the season. Just particularly like the last two episodes where it's just like it doesn't close out anything. It doesn't wrap anything up. It doesn't literally doesn't explain anything. It just ends on a really stupid joke.
No, there's no moral. If anything, it's a very backwards moral, especially like we'll get to it right at the end of the episode, but the very backwards moral that Bill Clinton gives, which is it's a great end of the episode. But yeah, so the jockeys threaten Homer and say that you need to like throw the next race or we're going to kill you.
Yeah.
And then he goes back home and tries to explain to Bart, like, you need to lose the Springfield Derby. And Bart's like, well, no, like if we win, we can send Duncan out to stud, which you know what that is, right?
Yeah.
It's essentially, like the best life for a racehorse.
Oh, yeah. Matt loves rooting. Oh, yeah.
So he then sort of like flips on that point straight away. I'll deal with those murderous trolls. What's that, Dad? Nothing. I'll deal with those murderous trolls. Just says it again.
There was a lot of like references to small people in general. So like trolls is another one. Calling the jockeys tiny hotheads and little people. And then the scene where they get chased by them and Marge and Lisa hit him with the super soakers.
Yes.
Was that like a Gremlins?
A Gremlins reference, yeah, because the Gremlins can't get hit by water.
Yeah.
But I think isn't it like, I've never seen the movie, but the concept is like you don't hit them with water because they get bigger?
I think
water kills them.
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay, then.
Yeah, it was
I
like
think
it was feeding them.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
when they get big. Yeah.
I get it.
I get movies.
I've seen movies.
But yeah, so like, that was essentially the next scene anyway. But fucking then Homer's like, Bart, get me a trash bag. Puts them all in a fucking garbage bag. They're all fucking moving it. Help, help. And then one of them's like, we'll give you gold.
A leprechaun joke. So they used every midget reference possible.
Without saying the word, which is a nice touch.
Yeah.
Considering we've said it like 3 times.
What, midget?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now we've said it 3
Wanted
times.
to make sure it was midget.
Now you've done it.
I'm a pretty lousy
Midget.
slanderer.
Yeah, then there's one more scene, which is essentially like Lisa getting her like fucked up vindication for the episode. So Bill Clinton just lands on the front lawn and says, you know,
I read your
I
letter.
read your letter. And Lisa's like, really? And he's like, most of it.
Yeah. I've overturned the outcome
Of this fucking, like local fair band competition, and now you're the winner.
Yeah.
And essentially says like the moral of the story is if you don't get your way, just complain until you get what you want. And Marge's just like, that's a pretty lousy lesson. Hey, I'm a pretty lousy president.
Yeah, that end scene is so good.
It's
like he
so
bites his lip or
Yeah.
something.
Which is like that innocent, like I didn't do nothing Bill Clinton face.
Yeah.
So you did everything, cunt.
I fuck people in an outhouse.
But I love it. There's just like these last 2 episodes. They do not give a fuck how the episode ends. Like it's not concise or clever at all. It's
But it
just-
doesn't
it's
need
just
to
stupid.
be.
It doesn't need to be either.
It's a good joke.
Yeah,
and
it's
it like
funny.
it does it. That's and like you sit there and you watch it, and then you're just like, hey, wasn't that episode supposed to have morals in it? Come on, you've been warned.
One of the rare times that it doesn't end on a good message.
Well, no, because we kind of like established that sort of formula a couple of weeks ago. It's like in these very early seasons, they really try to end on a good message or like something meaningful or full circle or something like that. Then they realized that with the way that they were moving the like engine of the show forward, they didn't really need to do that with these middle seasons.
Yeah.
Then for some reason, they try to do both in the season 21 episodes.
Yeah, true.
They try to give things like a half meaning, but also make it like irreverent at the same point in time
Yeah.
to try and appeal to everybody.
Which is you pick one or the other.
Yeah.
But just like, let's not do, several things bad. Let's try and do one thing good.
It's like you want to have like a moral message and also be irreverent. Like South Park can only really do it.
Yes.
Because they have no tether or leash.
Yeah.
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 And they do shit week to week.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm pretty much done with my notes.
Me too.
Do the thought hole when we come back.
It's a thought hole, Ned. $90.
Thank you, Keegan. You go first.
Oh, it's my Pepsi. I'll deal with that in a minute. But we had...
You and your Pepsi.
Well, not we. Like, I had 2 of the most fucking... I actually don't know which one to do first, to be honest, because they were both so fucking good. And they happened... Wait, was it the same day? No, it was one day apart.
Okay.
All right. So, both involving Johnny from work.
Johnny!
Dude.
Did I call it?
You called it. Greg was standing there and Johnny had his headphones in, probably about where Keegan is. And he had his music up all the way and Johnny's pretty much fucking deaf as it is. So Greg's standing like where you are, I'm standing here. And Greg goes, Johnny. And then I go, Johnny! Like really loud. Johnny goes, what?
Did you just collapse to the ground?
I was pissing myself and they're just like, what?
Just took a knee.
And I'm like, I'm not even explaining it.
Yeah.
I explained it to Johnny later and he laughed.
Yeah, good.
But the second one, also involving Johnny, which was fucking amazing. So we're digging up, or the driveway section that we poured the other day was literally like the last section of driveway. It's right up to the gate, so none of the other trades could make it in. Pretty much, like nobody could enter the site the last couple of days.
They're stopped by a concrete floor.
So like one of the owners was there and he like comes up to me and Johnny, but he starts like just sort of asks an open-ended question of like, oh, we've got the truck coming to like pump out the toilets. It needs to go down there. And Johnny just looks at him and goes, no, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
I was just like,
Did he intentionally say that?
no.
Oh my god.
Like, because he doesn't like watch it like religiously like we do, but it was the same tone and everything. It was just, no, it doesn't.
That's amazing.
It was fucking great. You got anything?
Yeah, my thought hole things were just based on the question that we'd asked our viewers. So I reached out to some friends since no viewers actually reach out to us. So fuck you guys.
Oh, there's no one there.
Come on, Boardman. We've given you so much time.
He fucking listens to every episode too. I checked it the other day.
Yeah. You fucker. Anyway, back to the thought hole. I asked my esteemed colleagues again, what quote pops up in your everyday life that immediately makes you think of The Simpsons? Bryce said, that's a door. So when someone states something that should be obvious.
Using this door. That's a door.
What else did he say?
Yeah, he had another good one, didn't he?
Yeah. So it was basically another thing when someone's being fucking stupid and we're just like, you're an idiot. And then we just preface that with, we need code names. I'll be Cue Ball, Skinner can be 8 Ball, Barney can be 12 Ball, and Mo, you can be Cue Ball.
You're an idiot.
That's, yeah, another one of those things, like, you're an idiot comes up in conversation.
Yeah.
Normally. So that's a good thing to have it
which
associated with.
Yeah, we even spoke about that scene specifically. No, I think that's what might have triggered the memory because, yeah, I messaged a number that I was hoping was Dane's the other day. I was like, is this still your number? And he just replied with the gif of Skinner and Homer fucking nodding at each other.
Yeah.
So, yes. He'll be on the show in like 2 weeks.
Perfect. Hamo says the Al Gore scene from the other week. I will.
Celebrate good times.
I will.
Well, that calls for a celebration.
I like licking
Mr. President, somebody bought a copy of your book. This is the most elaborate, like,
yeah.
goes up to his satellite and comes back down.
Music. Yeah. And then Aiden has
that weird one.
It was
no, for that weird looking quote. Oh, you mean Aiden's? Yeah, Aiden's.
So every time a teacher says, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, ma'am, good afternoon, sir, it passed noon while I was speaking, so that was technically accurate, was the scene that he was referencing.
Which we couldn't find.
I found it.
Oh, what was it?
What I just said.
Yeah, but where was it?
On Frinkiac.
Where in The Simpsons was the quote?
It was from a Treehouse of Horror episode. I think
Which
Treehouse
one?
of Horror 8. It might be the one where like Homer buys the 25 cents and it only transports matter.
Oh, maybe?
Pretty sure it's that one.
Okay, that sounds like something Frink would say.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
And then Bryce's last one was, my name's Bryce, or as the ladies know me, hey, you behind the bushes.
The lady I'm stalking has me bumped back to 20 feet.
Ah, that's uncruel. That's cruel.
And then I've got one more in the subheading of didn't this show used to, which is like the scene that I brought up earlier, or like we mentioned and I said I was going to speak about later on.
Mm-hmm.
So in the Stark Raving Dad episode, which is obviously hard for people to access because we only had it on DVD, which I thought we had the full version on DVD. I'm convinced that we don't. Because in that scene where
cuts from the prison
cuts from the insane asylum to Lisa crying at the table. There's just there's no mention of Lisa before it just cuts to her crying at the table. It like does that like slow like spinning zoom in on her like with her head down and she's crying.
Yeah.
Because everyone's missed her birthday. I'm positive that when I originally saw this episode, or the first couple of times that it was originally aired, there is another line or two in that scene that actually sort of explains like, oh, we're forgetting something, or we need to get home because of Lisa's birthday. There's just something that actually sets up her crying alone at home instead of.
I swear, isn't it literally like I feel like we're forgetting something?
Yes, it's something. It's something like that.
It's like a Home Alone reference.
Yes, something to that effect.
It was like a pretty harsh cut.
It makes zero sense without context. Like it does, but it doesn't kind of thing. Obviously, the whole build-up of the episode is, yes, they, everyone's been ignoring Lisa on her special day.
Yeah.
But, yeah, there's definitely a line that has been cut out of that because there's something that Marge or Homer or someone says.
Yep. Okay. Well, if anyone fucking knows.
If anyone knows, like, for an absolute fact or can find it or, I didn't Google it because I'm trying to fucking breed interaction here. No kids, 3moneypodcast@gmail.com. Fucking do it. Yeah, if anybody does have the answer to that question,
yeah,
that would be nice.
It's also so hard to track, especially with episodes like this where
And
they're
we
just
never
gone,
did.
You know,
Say it again.
it's so hard to keep track of these things, especially when like the episode is just like not readily available anywhere now.
No, and
even,
a lot
even
of
finding
the
the DVD would be a fucking nightmare now.
Yeah, they've obviously there's no more production run of that. They would have stopped probably not long after it came out.
It's like Disney. Disney's like basically stopped producing Blu-rays and DVDs of most of their intellectual property.
There's a comedian that does a great bit that relates to R. Kelly, sort of akin to the concept of like what I'm about to say. But I feel like there's also not a lot of information on it, because if you're the kind of person that's like, oh, I'm going to do a whole bunch of research into the episode that Michael Jackson did with The Simpsons, the first thing a lot of people are going to say is, oh, so you like touching kids too?
And that references R. Kelly.
No, some comedian made this long-ass joke about how R. Kelly wasn't technically a pedophile. He was like what's referred to as an ephebophile, which is somebody that's attracted to like people in their teenage years or something like that. And he says, but you can't make that argument, because as soon as you make that argument, people will just call you a pedophile.
Yeah, because that's
pedo.
essentially what you are. Fucking diddler. He plays a new Batman villain. The diddler.
Once again, a lot of this stuff is factually correct. So I don't know how much is actually being cut out this week.
Yeah, no, we're allowed to say this.
Apart from the blatantly racist things.
No kids, free money, won't return anymore.
Anyway, speaking of things being massively fucking problematic, season 20.
I could kiss you.
Mr. Simpson, I'm an attorney, and my husband is a federal prosecutor, and neither of us is happy.
Well, maybe you guys should look for easier jobs.
Unless you make this an affection-free environment, we will sue this school for its last dime.
All right, here it is.
Season 21, episode...
You got it, boss.
15.
Correct.
It's always 2 ahead of the season 11 one. I figured that out earlier and then refused to implement that information.
Well done.
Yes.
It is titled Stealing First Base. Synopsis reads...
The name is rapey.
It is.
I got to cut that out.
God damn it.
Probably.
When Mrs. Krabappel takes an extended absence, her students join with the other 4th grade class where Bart falls for a girl named Nikki.
That has never existed before this.
As far as we know.
And has the 3rd grade teacher that is used in the episode where Bart gets dropped a grade and Lisa gets upped one.
Right.
With a different voice.
Interesting. The two are seen kissing, which leads to a ban on public displays of affection in the school. Nikki, however, alternates between loving and hating him whenever they kiss. When Bart falls off the roof of the school, the ban prevents anyone from touching him, so Nikki resuscitates him. Due to Nikki's continued erratic behavior, Bart ends their relationship. Meanwhile, when Lisa writes a post online about being disliked for being an overachiever, First Lady Michelle Obama comes to Springfield and makes a speech about the importance of academics. At the same time, Nelson teaches a blind boy the art of being a schoolyard bully. He pranks Nelson when he says a punch to the face restored his sight.
That synopsis is so fucking wrong.
There's a couple of bits in there that make sense, but...
And it's way too thorough than what it needs to be. Why were they explaining throwaway jokes like it was part of a subplot?
It's all over the place.
And like they could have summarized the Nikki thing with just saying that she was gaslighting Bart the whole episode.
Yeah. That concept didn't really exist when this episode came out.
Even
though.
just like why there's no touching ban to begin with is because Nikki's parents want to sue the school and the Simpsons.
Yeah.
Like they just completely
glazed that.
It's one of the only good jokes of the episode where her mum says like, we're going to take this school debt for its last time. And Skinner just goes, okay, here it is. Just pulls it out of his drawer.
Yeah. Ready for it. The initial scene of the episode with the Nav Man.
Yeah, you got to carry this one. I got 2 notes.
Yeah, that's fine. I've written a couple. The Nav Man scene wasn't too bad in my opinion. So, like they end up, because it's in kilometers, not miles. So, what is that? The metric system?
Where the metric system?
That's not the metric inspector.
I get 40. My car gets 40 rods to the hogshead, and that's the way I like it.
So yeah, it's telling Homer to turn in 50 meters or something like that, and they're trying to work out a mathematical equation to... Lisa's saying a mathematical equation to try and equate it back to miles, and by the time she does, they've passed where the turn is. And then Bart abruptly says, oh, well, we've got to make this next turn but it's through like a what's it called? A construction site.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going through there, dodging heaps of shit, and then they hit like an oil slick, and then a fucking steel beam comes through their car, essentially. So Homer's taking the kids to school in this particular scene. And then you think they've sort of restored the car in some way because it's just got like a zoomed in shot of inside the car, and then it pans out and they're being towed to the school.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty good. There's been a couple of season 21 things like Homer running for the train the other week, and he sort of like catches up to it and then backs back out of the shot and then catches up to it again and jumps on it, and it's just a stationary like,
but it's
cafe.
It's not the same. It's a good visual joke. It's great, and obviously it's written, but everything written outside of that sucks mostly. Which is, I think, the most disappointing part, because it's like, obviously there's still a lot of like good writing going on, but it just seems misplaced a lot of the time. Like you mentioned, that train joke was fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Like everything about it was great. It didn't last too long. It completely subverts your expectations, but there's no words in it. It's all completely physical, which a lot of this stuff is.
Yeah. And like the plot of this episode wasn't necessary to make a Simpsons episode on this.
Fucking a fair bit too intense for a Simpsons episode, in my opinion.
There was some pretty dark like humor used in it. Like the original seasons had dark humor, but it was portrayed in a completely different way, whereas they're like flat out saying pretty fucked up things.
Yeah.
So for instance, I may as well mention it now, is Skinner like pushing Bart with a pool skimmer towards the edge of the road when he falls off the roof of the school, and he says, "I prefer a dead child to a lawsuit from your parents."
Well, I thought you were just more alluding to the fact that he's like trying to push him off of school property.
Yeah, to like
get their liability out of the situation.
Yeah.
Like if he fell over on the pavement, it's not our problem.
Yeah, exactly. So like shit like that isn't anywhere near the golden era at all.
Yeah.
So they didn't have to maybe succumb to that, I guess.
And then just really the whole like impetus for the episode of like Grandpa essentially, you know, saying like, do something without consent.
Yeah. But like, I don't know, maybe the age appropriateness was what was so far off for it. Because like, you wouldn't think many people in primary school age would be doing that sort of shit.
No, because Bart's what, 10?
Yeah. So that would be like year 4 equivalent.
Yeah.
Far too young.
Yes. Especially to be given that type of advice.
Yeah, exactly. And to follow that up, so Abe's basically told Bart to like steal a kiss from her, from Nikki, which he does. And then that's when the lawsuit thing happens. And then afterwards they're thinking back on that moment, and Marge asks Abe like, why did you tell Bart to do this? Why didn't you just club her on the head and drag her into a cave? You mean second base? I don't think Bart's old enough for that.
Yeah, that also, like, it's one of those things. It's like, I understand you're trying to make dark jokes, but it's like, Grandpa has never been this fucking, like...
sex pesty.
Yeah. It's like, okay, like, Grandpa is Quagmire now? Like, what's the fucking... It's one of those... we've discussed it before. It's like, especially, like, Quagmire is a good example kind of thing. It's like a lot of this... Everything that comes out of his mouth is 10 times more fucked than anything that has ever happened on The Simpsons.
Yeah.
But they established that from day dot. It's like, this guy is a fucking, like, sex offender. He's just a creep through and through. And they just keep ramping it up and ramping it up and ramping it up.
Yeah.
But because he was established that from literally the first like episode or instance that he's there, one of the first, like, you know, we've quoted it on this show, is that episode where Meg's at the party and then...
Hey, Meg, 18 yet?
No. The one where Lois sends him around to fucking...
That's right.
Hey, darling.
How old are you? 16? 18?
You're first.
Yeah.
Mom, I like where this is going. Yeah, but like that's like the first season kind of thing. So like it's not out of place, anything that happens after that. But for them to just like take an innocent old senile character like Grandpa and be like, this is what he thinks about women.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this?
Yeah. They've gone a stretch too far.
Yeah.
As a sarcastic man would say. Another thing that I wanted to bring up for this episode was like the skateboarding scene with Nikki as well around the school.
Is that supposed to be a reference?
No, I was just more so thinking we don't see
This
Bart
sucks.
skateboarding all that much. I quite liked that scene visually, like when she goes under the table and Bart's on top of it and like kick flips the gap and shit like that. Just reminds me of old school like Tony Hawk's.
Yeah, I suppose.
But my point was like we don't see Bart skateboarding that often.
No, we don't, for how like good he is at it.
And like, when's the last one? Like Bart the Daredevil.
How the fuck have they never used a storyline of like Bart being some form of professional skateboarder?
They even had Tony Hawk.
They had Tony Hawk in an episode.
Yeah.
And him and Homer skate against each other.
Don't they like duel in midair?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, because Tony Hawk gives him like a robot skateboard or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's the one where Bart emancipates himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a fucking good episode.
I think that'll be like season 12, 13, something like that. Yeah.
Late.
So it'll be coming up.
Oh, damn. Okay. Well, that's good. The other notable thing was like the animation for this episode was really fucking good, in my opinion. Like the scenes were really smooth. So to put it in context, the Itchy and Scratchy thing, even though it went way longer than an Itchy and Scratchy segment usually does, it was referencing Koyaanisqatsi, Life Out of Balance, here titled Koyaanis Scratchy, Death Out of Balance.
I don't know. I've never heard of that movie.
Yeah, neither.
Wouldn't it be great if I knew everything about it?
This is the one movie you've seen.
I'm going to say.
Oh, whatever you just said. Well, it goes on for 15 minutes.
Okay, it's an American non-narrative documentary film, so right up your alley, Ned.
My favorite.
Yeah. Directed and produced by Godfrey Reggio and Philip Glass. Cinematography by Ron Frick.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks shit.
I don't know who any of those people are.
It is about an essay in images and sound on the state of American civilization. The film comprises a montage of stock footage, slow motion, and time-lapse visuals of natural and urban environments across the United States, which was what the Itchy and Scratchy episode did, which I thought was quite nice. It like showed Itchy's head sort of taking a journey. Scratchy's head taking a journey and ends up getting like ejected out of a damn wall.
It's still good. It's still good.
That's what I thought straight away too. Yeah, this was like a box office flop by the looks of it, but
yeah, why don't you give me some of those critic reviews? Because I've only got one more note.
It sounds like a bit of a, hoity-toity.
Hoi, hoi, hoi.
Let's not do that again. Fuck, you threw me under the bus at that dinner table, cunt.
Hey, everybody joined in afterwards.
I know. But for that first second, I was just like, oh my God, I'm fucked.
No, Mr. Keegan.
Mr. Simpson, no!
I know, like my girlfriend loves that.
It's one of those things. It's like that was my second thought straight away. I was like, "There's no way he would have said it if he knew that she wouldn't have laughed at it."
Yeah.
But just for that first second, I was like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this to me?"
And then Keanu jumps in as well.
Yeah.
The racism has disbanded.
Finally, I can be racist.
It's like, oh, it's okay now.
The song just plays out of your mouth. My other couple of notes before we get to the critic reviews were like, why are Skinner and Willie kissing for so long?
Oh God, that was fucking painful.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, they decided, like Superintendent Chalmers decided to do like a whole school assembly with Willie and Skinner reenacting Bart and Nikki kissing. And then the crowd were like either applauding or booing, which made them...
They were cheering or laughing or
they were
something.
laughing.
And he says, as long as you keep laughing, they'll keep kissing. And then they're just weirdly like holding each other at the end of it.
Like disheveled and sweaty. And
Yeah.
like, did
But
the
it's
kids
just
really
like-
have to sit through that?
Classic example of these later season episodes where it just drags a joke on for way too fucking long.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it was sort of a little bit funny to begin with. Then it's just like straight up painful, not funny.
Yeah.
Like, move on.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
The other notable scene was the kissing montage of them referencing a whole heap of movies where like an embrace or a big kiss happened. The funniest one to me was like Sigourney Weaver in the shower with the xenomorph there and the mouth comes out of it and like kisses her on the cheek real softly.
There was a couple of like good jokes in there, but the point that I made before the episode was that it's hard for me to say that like this is a good part of this episode because it's none of their content.
Reference.
Yeah, they changed. It's a bunch of reference. Sounds like a reference.
My teeth hurt.
It's another one of those like they've done it themselves this week. It's usually us like referencing a bunch of other better content to try and make these season 21 episodes funny to some degree, but they did
a witty anecdote.
Exactly. They did it themselves this week because they realized like, oh, well, you know, this stuff's better than anything we're fucking throwing out at the moment.
Yeah. I assume your other note is on Obama.
Oh, yeah. Well, just the fact that there was a presidential through line of the fact that Clinton was in last week and then Michelle Obama was in this week's episode.
I've got Obama in woman form.
Yes, they make a joke about her, which is, you know, a wide conspiracy that Michelle Obama is not a woman.
Yeah. So the scene in question for this one is like they're opening the door to the helicopter and all four dudes can't pull this door down and Michelle Obama like rips her sleeves off and has muscles and
just absolutely jacked. Looks like Terry Crews in a wig.
Oh, that was good. And that was basically it. On to the critic reviews. Emily Vanderwerf, who we've heard from before.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that name.
Of the AV Club, criticised the episode, giving it a C+, calling the harassment storyline pointless and stupid, although praised the Nelson subplot, which we didn't touch on, but who gives a fuck?
It's not a subplot. It's 3 throwaway jokes.
It was decent.
The kid's obviously a fucking weird kind of sociopath the entire time. It's like...
You tried to do this to a blind kid?
Yeah, like he's fucking with his emotions like from the get-go. So obviously this like kid is a bully, but it's like in a way darker way than what Nelson does. And Nelson doesn't even understand it.
Yeah, exactly. Fucks with him from the very beginning.
Like the last joke that he makes is actually pretty good, but it's a fucked thing. That punch restored my vision. Really? Uh-huh.
Yeah. Quite good.
Just like the deadpan tone that he delivers everything with.
Yeah. Yep. So going from the Nelson subplot bit, however, Jason Hughes of HuffPost TV praised the storyline, writing, "I applaud the series for facing such an issue with such intensity and handling it with humor and compassion."
Where was the humor?
The day the laughter stopped.
Are you ready to laugh? Oh, that poor dog.
I was.
And the last one here, Robert Canning of IGN. Gave the episode an 8 out of 10, saying that Nikki turned out to be a fun and memorable character. Overall, he stated that although stealing first base fed us some old ideas, it did so with a lot of great bits and some very strong guest voices.
That guy just wants to fuck Sarah Silverman.
Confirmed.
Fair enough, but it's not a review on a gaming site is not going to get the job done, bud.
Oh, it's just another classic IGN fucking shit take.
Yeah, which is like, once again, it's like International Gaming Network. Just focus on that. It's like you don't even do that well.
We're going to branch out in strange new places.
I think they've always reviewed TV shows.
Review.
I thought you were just going to go score of 8. Score of 8.
Even better.
But like, I think they've always reviewed TV shows, but they're just definitely more known for reviewing games.
Really?
But also, imagine giving that episode of The Simpsons a higher rating than like Pokemon Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah, but didn't they rate the last one really high, which was like terrible?
Probably.
What? Pokemon game?
Yeah.
Scarlet and Violet.
That's good.
Yeah, but it's just a janky mess, isn't it?
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Frame rate is like
2.
Non-existent, yeah, in certain parts.
Yes.
So, like, I get it, but they're dealing with a fucking CPU chip that's the same as an iPad.
Yeah.
So you're going to get that on the big jobs.
And I mean, that's like, if you're Nintendo and you're listening.
We're not listening.
By some fucking small chance that you're listening, just fucking remaster The Simpsons Hit and Run.
Yeah.
Just be those guys. Everyone will buy the console.
Or even give it like additional levels.
make the Simpsons hit and run too. Like something. Like
You know what?
Someone's gotta do it.
You know what's bad though? Like they can never remake the Simpsons Hit and Run now because Apu is a playable character in that game.
fucking hell. I just figured it out. We're never getting it.
Nope.
Well, did I send you the screenshot of the Apu thing the other day? That was an April Fool's joke. It said like Hank Azaria will be reprising his role as Apu, and it was posted on April Fool's Day. I was like, wow, ultra psych. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, finally, Hank Azaria back as the voice of Apu. You heard that right. After a few years hiatus, Hank Azaria has decided to make a comeback as the voice of Apu in spite of all the controversy that surrounded the famed actor. Azaria responded to comments saying, "I've loved being a part of the Simpsons community, and after taking some time off, waiting for the controversy to die down, I'm back as Apu, and the writers plan to create a spin-off with myself and actor Utkarsh Ambudkar as Jamshed J. We realized that we could capitalize on the controversy a little bit, and since The Simpsons is more than likely in its last season, this will be a great way to keep the fans engaged." That's when I knew it was a piss take.
Oh, we was about to say, yeah, because this is like either before or after, like a day. When was?
Oh, The Simpsons renewed through season 40.
Through season 40.
Yeah. Renewed for another 4 seasons.
That was the following day.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and unfortunately that wasn't an April Fool's joke.
Yeah, I really wish it was.
And then we went on into that tangent in our little chat about our podcast never.
Oh, yeah. It's never going away.
It is now.
It is right now, though. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, No Kids 3 Money Podcast, gmail.com.
Aaron.
Yes. We'll see you next week.
Aaron.
Goodbye.
Aaron. Aaron. Aaron.
You're not mad at me, are you?
So we asked ourselves, who's behind the badge? Police cops? Police cops.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing about that is